Hey guys, Seth and Alyce, and our second oldest, Lorra, arguably the best, right?
I'm definitely the best second oldest.
The best second oldest, for sure. So Lorra,
who was 16?
Yes.
For context.
Lorra, there is a book that we got introduced to. I'm trying to remember where we got a copy of it.
It was at Best Year Ever Blueprint. No, it was not. That's where we heard about it. I don't know.
So here's the book, right? Personality isn't permanent. And the reason I bring this up, one, because Benjamin Hardy is awesome, right? So if people are looking for a personal growth book to read, like this might be one, and maybe I'll be able to pull it up here. But personality isn't permanent. Reason I mention it here is because you confront me, call me out.
Yes, that is accurate.
So sometimes I will put myself and others in a box, right? I'll be like, oh, well, they're that personality type, they're that personality type. And I'm not the only one that does it. It's a common tactic in sales to try and figure out different types of personalities, so you know how to sell to one personality type than another, or in coaching or anything else. And
there's a piece that's super helpful, right? Like we need that to be able to like function and communicate.
But I know you've read this book. I've actually seen your copy of it that is highlighted and notes and dog-eared and everything else. What would you tell people that are like constantly putting people into boxes? Like where does this book add to that conversation in a really helpful way?
I would start with there's nothing wrong with putting people into boxes, but there is something wrong with not changing them constantly. Like boxes aren't bad. That's how I can tell you that you're a woman and you're a man. And it's how I'm able to categorize that. So there's nothing wrong with categorizing and generalizing, but it becomes dangerous when you don't analyze them and you don't ask yourself why they're in those boxes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, or even to use maybe slightly more dotted line boxes, right? Mom's an extrovert and I'm an introvert could be a box, right?
Yeah. So building off of that, I used to consider myself an extrovert. And then when I wanted to take downtime, I would be like, no, I can't do that. I'm an extrovert. I have to always be around people. And by labeling yourself as something, no matter what the label is, you're automatically saying yes to something else and saying no to something else.
Yeah. So where have you seen it be, I guess I'll use the word damaging when we think about, we've got 4 daughters. There's 6 of us in our family. We just did a pretty epic summer road trip. We spend some time together, right?
Just a little.
And sometimes in spending time together, we can tend to draw conclusions that feel like boxes we put people in, right? Where have you seen our family kind of the bad side of that, and how we maybe work through it in a way that you found productive?
Okay, specifically, he talks about this in the book, but specifically personality assessments. If you've ever taken it, like I'm talking specifically like the Enneagram, BuzzFeed test. I used to love BuzzFeed tests. I really did. It's so nice to like pick your favorite mac and cheese flavor, and then they tell you where you're going to be in 30 years. They're so fun. But I'm
not taking that one. There you go.
But in all honesty, it takes the work off of your part. It's much easier to take a 30-second quiz and then have somebody else tell you what you're good for the rest of your life. But of course, it's not accurate, but it is subconsciously telling you that somebody else knows your path, which is not true in the slightest. And what was the question?
Well, the question was, how has this sort of impacted our family, right?
Okay.
For better or for worse, right? Like, where have you watched Mom and I'll only speak for me, right? Where have I done damage to you kids by kind of labeling or using boxes, using personality types? You're a 7 or Carissa's a 2.
Yeah.
There you go. Let me just
start right there. So like in the Enneagram, if you know how the Enneagram works, there's 9 numbers and you're labeled as one number and you're also kind of one number. That's your wing. So you have a number and then you have a wing. Anyway, you guys would say, oh, you're such a 7, you're such an 8, you're such a, I don't know, A, B, C, Q, J, I don't know, like whatever the number, whatever is. But in reality, what happened is you would say, you're this number. Oh, that's this number showing up. And what would happen there is I would play into this identity. It's like, oh, if I'm a 7, I'm super extroverted and I'm always the party person. And then I was like, wait, maybe I'm not a 7. Maybe I'm an 8. And then I was like, oh, of course, that's why I'm a challenger. That's why I'm so aggressive. And then whatever number I thought I was, I would constantly play into that identity I don't know. This is not science-based. It's just my opinion. I think hopefully it's science-based. Who knows? But I play into my strengths. So if you tell me I'm a challenger and that I'm good at debate or anything like that, then I'm naturally going to try to improve that and try to get better at that. Whereas if you just left me uncategorized and you let me figure that out for myself, I could do that. And I wouldn't say it was damaging because you were receptive to feedback on that. I would just say when I asked you to stop doing it, you stopped doing it. So that was good.
Yeah. All right.
I'm at cause, not effect.
Any last words on this where you've seen this play out?
No, I think the big thing for us is that we actually dialogue about it. I think it's being fixed in how you think about it. Like, oh, well, no, but somebody told me that I had to do this, and now we're all in on it. It's like, no, there's, take the meat, throw away the bones. Like, whatever serves you, keep it.
Unless you're vegan.
Yeah.
Unless you're a vegan, which you are.
Not to put you in a box.
And it's just to continue having dialogue about it and going from there.
Yeah. So as a dad, I wrestle with, I find behavioral assessments, personality assessments, I find them helpful. I think you're pointing out a really important thing is that especially at influential ages, right? Especially as children are growing up, give as much latitude as possible for an almost a blank slate of, a blank page to show up and whatever your personality is that's going to develop will, and it's not permanent. It can change over time, right? Mm-hmm. So appreciate you being on and sharing that. If you have questions about that, Lorra honestly has probably read this book more than Alyce or I have, and reach out. Happy to give some more insights.